Hello, and welcome to Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting over episode 3 of One Punch Man. If you would like to watch along, start watching now. So last we left off, the House of Evolution was concerned that their strike team had been destroyed. And it looks like we're sort of getting a bit of backstory on them. So this guy looks like the head honcho of the House of Evolution. So it sounds like his disillusionment mixed with his genius was sort of the impetus behind whatever experiments he started doing. Alright, so this guy's like some sort of transhumanist who believes in the artificial evolution of the human race. I mean, I think there are merits to both sides of the transhumanist argument. You know, I just think if you are going to go down that route, you have to be, I guess, morally competent. His name is even Genus. That's kind of funny. Alright, so this sort of explains the current situation we have. He's discovered a way to restore his youth and then clone himself. And then he can begin experimenting in earnest with all sorts of probably illegal human experimentation. Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was the armored gorilla given the quick rundown here. I thought it was a narrator. I like how Saitama cuts him off like he did with Genos. Genos, the suck up that he is, he immediately paraphrases what Saitama chewed him out for earlier. So, we have a nice little double entendre here. The gorilla, in trying to be terse, means that they're interested in Saitama's physiology because he's so ridiculously strong, but Saitama takes it in a different direction entirely. Saitama is so earnest that he wants to strike back at the House of Evolution immediately because he doesn't want to miss a sale. It's very typical of him. So the stakes are pretty high here for the House of Evolution. Their strike force has been wiped out. They know that Saitama and Genos are on their way. So really the only thing they can do is let out the insane lunatic of a monster they have chained up in the basement. Nobody really seems happy to do that, but given the dire circumstances, it's really all they can do. Now that's another little interesting tidbit of dialogue. Genos is surprised that despite his super strength and durability, Saitama can't fly. And he simply remarks, dude, humans can't fly. So, while Genos really sees Saitama as this big, larger than life superhero, Saitama just sort of thinks of himself as an ordinary dude. So it seems like all of the House of Evolution's planning in terms of setting booby traps has gone entirely to waste because Genos just leveled the building. Saitama thinks that it was probably a bit rash, so he kind of wanted to see what they had in store, but it ultimately works out given that there's a hidden basement. So here we have Carnage Kabuto, the last resort, so to speak, and it really is kind of off the deep end, I guess. He's already slaughtered a bunch of clones, and you could see that he took like automatic gunfire with no visible effect. So Carnage Kabuto has a very arrogant attitude. Despite having been locked up, he's very insistent that he is incomparably stronger and more intelligent. So interestingly enough, the original Dr. Genos is even willing to die. And I guess that's what sort of gets Carnage Kabuto to listen. That and the promise of fighting someone strong. So Saitama's completely unaffected by all of this. Carnage Kabuto was strong enough to sort of batter Genos aside and make a big dent in the concrete wall. But Saitama just doesn't care about any of that. You turn Genos into a piece of modern art, he says. That line always cracks me up. There is so much modern art that's just horribly ugly to look at. I don't understand it at all. It's just stupid. So, to Genos' credit, he's still alive, and judging by how he's performing, he's barely even wounded by that initial attack. Of course, for all the firepower he's putting out, it doesn't really seem to be affecting Carnage Kabuto very much at all. This is sort of the role that Genos gets consigned to. You know, he's really there as, I guess, a benchmark for how afraid we should be of the villain. Because we know nothing can put up a fight against Saitama for very long. But if something can stomp Genos out, then there's a reasonable chance that it means serious business. Case in point, Carnage Kabuto is able to repel a giant gout of flame just by exhaling at it. So now Saitama is something approximating serious. You know, given that Kabuto was able to put the hurt on Genos pretty severely, Saitama figures that, you know, I might get some exercise out of this. It might be some good fun. No guarantee, of course, and in all likelihood, probably not going to be the case, but, you know, like you said, you've gotten my hopes up. So, based off of Dr. Genus's little monologue here, it seems like he was kind of a wacko from the age of 15 onwards with this whole plan of transhumanism. At this point, he's really only interested in seeing how things turn out in a fight between Saitama and Carnage Kabuto. I guess to see if his idea really had merit at all. You know, if Carnage Kabuto is stronger, then I guess that reflects better on him, even if it ultimately results in him being slaughtered too. I think it's coming from a place of arrogance more than anything else. He feels that his creation could beat any ordinary human that hasn't been designed. Now that's a pretty cool shot right there. Carnage Kabuto sort of like zips around behind Saitama. We get like just the merest shot of Saitama looking back behind him. And that enough was to scare the crap out of Carnage Kabuto. It's sort of like an animal instinct kind of thing. Like he realizes he would have gotten totally wrecked, and so he backed off. So now that Carnage Kabuto has acknowledged Saitama was strong, everyone else is sort of shocked. And this sort of prompts Saitama into divulging his secret. The secret to how he attained such awesome power. I love the dumbfound expression on his face. So there's some nice dramatic music in the background while Saitama slowly starts to divulge a secret. It's not genetic augmentation, it's not surgery, it's purely training. And that no matter how hard it gets, you have to stick with it. It took him 3 years. And ultimately, he just sort of describes not a bare bones workout, but, it's definitely not anything crazy. I'm by no means a fitness expert, but, I've known people who can do stuff like that pretty regularly, and I haven't seen them slap down any monsters lately. And Saitama describes all of the hardship. Even when my bones started making those weird popping noises, I kept doing push-ups. That's just damaging your joints. It's not good. He exercised so hard his hair fell out. Everybody just thinks he's full of it. No one believes him. He's being totally sincere, but even Genos is the first to call him out on it. Now, out of the 3 people present, Carnage Kabuto is taking it the worst. He clearly doesn't have a sense of humor, and he's definitely mentally unstable like Dr. Genos described. Now, interestingly enough, in his rampaging form, he kind of looks almost like EVA Unit 01. Like the purple and green coloration. It's a neat reference, if nothing else. Especially considering how EVA 01 and Carnage Kabuto tend to rampage. So by this declaration of a week-long rampage from now until next Saturday, Saitama seems disquieted. Carnage Kabuto finally gets the upper hand for once, and he's just throwing him all around the room, bashing him off the walls. From Genos' perspective, it probably looks like Saitama's not very long for this world. Of course, Saitama's not particularly worried about the rampaging itself, except that next Saturday is 1 week from today. So originally, Saitama wanted to go take care of the House of Evolution so that he could attend the sale the following day. But it turns out today is the day of the sale, and he's missing it right now. In his anguish, he utterly destroys Carnage Kabuto. Of course, Genos is being slightly more rational. The store isn't closed yet. If we run, we can probably make it. And just like that, they leave the House of Evolution. Dr. Genus is left contemplating the ruin of all that he's worked for. So after all the carnage, there appears to be a sort of a CSI team investigating, and they appear to be drawing similarities between multiple events. They seem to be on to that it's Genos responsible, although they don't know him by name. If I recall, one of these guys has been seen before working with the Hero Association. So they're starting the scouting process, I guess. Alright, well, that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one.